Let me share this one story about the top Russian official warns of global tragedy if allies send Ukraine new weapons. This story is on January 22nd. It's page 7 if you want to go to it. The story's on page 7. And it's interesting what just happened yesterday. So a leading official in Russia parliament has warned of a global tragedy if Ukraine gets new weapons from allies as the bitter fight between the two nations nears the 11-month mark. Volodin, Speaker of State Duma, Russia's lower house of the country's parliament, issued the ominous message Sunday. He said supplies of offensive weapons to Kiev regime would lead to a global catastrophe. Global catastrophe only means the N-word, nuclear, right? Mm-hmm. He claimed the United States and NATO's assistance to Ukraine has led to a terrible war. Volodin is a close ally of Vladimir Putin. He also is a member of Putin's Security Council. He said, if Washington and NATO supply weapons that would be used for striking peaceful cities and making attempt to seize our territory as they threatened to do, it would trigger retaliation with more powerful weapons. So what does U.S. do yesterday? How many tanks did we give to Ukraine yesterday? I think we gave them 31 tanks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
31 Abrams tanks, if I'm not mistaken, was given to them yesterday. I think the number is 31. Can you zoom in a little bit?
You're correct.
There you go. The U.S. will send 31 powerful battle tanks to Ukraine, joining Germany in sending the vehicles to support the fight against Russia's invasion. The decision to deliver the M1 Abrams tanks was announced just hours after Germany said it would send 14 of its Leopard 2 tanks to the battlefield. Berlin also cleared the way for the European countries to send German-made tanks from their own stocks. Ukraine has lobbied Western allies to send military equipment for months. There you go. So, yeah, here's the other part. Let me just say this, and then, Tom, I want to get your thoughts on this. Russia. This is more to Russia than anything else. This whole thing, if they do this, it's going to be catastrophic. If they do this, it's going to be catastrophic. Russia's been saying this now 7 times, 6 or 7 times, and they've done nothing. Okay? Catastrophic. You know what they're saying to you, Russia? No one believes you anymore. They don't think you're going to do shit. They don't think you can do nothing. Now, thank God some people who are listening to this, Russia doesn't listen to this podcast. Putin's not sitting there saying, let me see what they're going to be saying on the PBD podcast, okay? Because if he did hear this on the podcast, he says, oh yeah, boom, right? Retaliate. But the truth of the matter is, you can't threaten somebody 6 or 7 times and not follow through. And the other side says, yeah, whatever, here's 31 more tanks. Yeah, whatever, here's this. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the sooner that this thing gets resolved, the sooner the West can start picking up the $1 trillion tab it's going to take to rebuild Ukraine, because it's the breadbasket of Europe. It's a huge manufacturing base, and there's a huge rebuild that's necessary. But I'm agree with you. This feels like the mother that says, one more, your kid's having a tantrum on the floor in Target. One more time, Jeremy, no ice cream. One more time, Jeremy, no jelly beans. And then it's like, hey, I'll give you gum if you'll stop. Right. So I think I'm kind of over it, just like you are, because I just think that
either do something or just stop saying it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think what the West, remember the West was reluctant a year ago to send Stinger missiles, little stuff.
Yeah.
Now we're sending 31 of the most advanced battle tank, which will more than meet up against those Leopard 2 tanks. Germany's Leopard 2 tanks and the Abrams together are going to overmatch the Russian side. And I think what you have here is, I think the West is possibly coming to this point of, this incrementalism doesn't work. Writing big checks and doing all this incrementalism doesn't work. Let's just send the big stuff in there and let's get this thing over with. Because remember, when Russia was brought to its knees, 35 years ago in Afghanistan, and if you've ever seen the movie Charlie Wilson's War, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. They have eventually turn tail and go home. And it takes overwhelming force, and I don't think they're going to do anything. And I think it's a very real question is Vladimir really healthy, right? I think that's a very real question.
That's a different question. The question here is 11 months, you're not making progress. You're not coming across as the winner. You're not imposing yourself. They're not intimidated. You're turning their leader into a hero. He's being promoted as the next Churchill, being bullied by a guy like you. You're being compared to a guy that used to live in Germany who took his own life, some say. You're not, this is not a good storyline for them, okay? Your people are leaving your country. You were the number 2 country in the world for immigrants. Russia was number 2, believe it or not, for number. Really? They're 11 million. Number 1 is U.S. at 41 million. Russia's number 2. You can pull up the data if you want to pull it up. Top countries. in the world in immigration. You've been losing immigrants that are leaving your place. This is not a good look for you, okay? This is not a good look for you, and it's hurting you. So what are you going to do now? Zoom in? Okay, it used to be Russia, now it's Germany. Okay, so Germany's 2, Saudi's 3, Russia's 4. That
But it's
number,
not even close.
that
U.S.
num-
is running laps
by
around
the way,
everyone.
Just so you know, that number 2 years ago, in 2019, Russia was 4, because we were at
they're
41
4.
million. Now they're 4. Okay, there you go. You're declining on the list of immigrants wanting to go to
I
your
wonder
place.
why.
And they
Yeah.
thought that, and I know we got to wrap up.
Yeah,
They
but-
thought that winter's coming with
Yeah.
the gas and oil and everything that that Russia gives to the world as what they export would break the backs of Europe. But Europe is still doubling down. Germany's still sending tanks.
Yep.
The EU 100% is behind Ukraine. It's backfiring like crazy against Russia.
And coming down to the Biden administration, bro, like this is how to be in a war without saying you're in a war, okay? Like Pat,
Proxy war is what it's called.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
if I want Pat, all three of you to go do a drive-by and shoot up Rob's house, and I supply you the car, the guns, the ammo, and you guys go and shoot up a bunch of people and kill a bunch of people, guess what legally was going to happen? Me, as the sender of all this shit, you orchestrated it. You started. You're supplying all this shit. You are just as much as in trouble as they are. So we are at, like you said,
That's the RICO Act.
We're involved, bro. We're so involved.
Yeah.
But they'll never say,
Yeah.
the Biden administration will never be like, yo, we're in a war. Trust me, bro. We're in it.
Dude, only a few years ago, the Winter Olympics were in Sochi.
Yeah,
And we were talking about a new Russia
wow.
and a new era.
Yeah.
Remember all that? And remember, that was the Winter Olympics when it didn't snow, which was really inconvenient for the Winter Olympics. But you remember that? There was no snow. But at that time, remember, it's a new Russia. The Cold War is over. They're the host of an Olympic Games. All these things going on. And now look where they are. I mean, this is pretty pathetic.
Okay, so if you enjoyed this clip, you want to see another one, click here to watch another clip. And if you want to take advantage of the latest Gold Signature Series products that just came out, we have a bunch of new merch that's out. This is a color-changing mug when you drink coffee. That lion turns into a real lion. And then we have hoodies with Valuetainment Gold on it, the Gold Signature Series hat, shirts, I'm an entrepreneur. Anyways, we have a lot of items. They're selling out. If you want to take advantage of the Gold Signature Series, click here. Place your order, sport your Valuetainment gear, and tag us with the hashtag Valuetainment.